Okay, Mr. Belknap. Bill Belknap's coming forward to talk about item number 4, which is what I like to call West A Street, to keep me from getting confused with East A Street, which is Farm Road to Hatley Addition, a master plan project professional services agreement.
Good afternoon. So the area in question that we're discussing this evening is that section of A Street located between the western terminus near Warbonnet Drive and between that and the Farm Road intersection just north. So it's largely the property that's located north of the current Palouse Mall location. It's been an area of interest to the city and to both the city and the university for a number of years, and the university currently has parts of the North Farm operation and the dairy operation in this area. It has been a location that the city had identified as potential future retail commercial development in close proximity to the existing Palouse Mall, and positioned on the west, I guess where it's located closer to the Pullman Marketplace as well as the Pullman Marketplace. The city and the university entered into a conversation over the course of the last several months to look at developing a future concept master plan for the development of that property, and both parties agreed to jointly fund the effort. It was included in the current FY 2015 fiscal year budget for the city's $25,000, half of the project, with an estimated cost of $50,000 for the total effort. The city developed and advertised an RFP. I think we received 7 responses to the request for proposals, and they had a selection committee that was comprised of both city and university representatives that reviewed the submissions that were received, and ultimately recommended selection of Welch Comer and Bernardo Wills as the successful consultant team to work on the project. A scope of work has been developed, and overall the scope includes an overall kind of market feasibility, site analysis, site suitability, and retail market analysis component, a zoning and land use analysis in review, a conceptual plan, retail lot layout, and mass grading plan on the project, and then a roadway design and utility assessment component. The scope of services includes the development of several alternate schematic layouts for review and direction and solicitation, and at the end of the project we'll have a overall view for the future development of that corridor, a horizontal and vertical roadway alignment, a recommended lotting and layout plan, as well as utility and design and an overall cost of construction for that for the overall corridor. That'll give us a good deal of information, both to look at the kinds and nature of uses that we can accommodate in the corridor, as well as the anticipated future development cost. And there's been discussion of potentially applying for a future Tiger grant to connect the A Street corridor to allow for better transit circulation and routing. Currently, we're going up on Warbonnet and turning around, having come back and backtrack on the highway. So there may be other funding sources we could pursue to promote the development of the roadway corridor. The overall project for the budget was $50,000, as I mentioned. The initial estimates on the scope of work were slightly over that amount. We have since worked with the respondents to revise the scope of work of the project as it related to the market feasibility assessment component. We recently completed a market assessment for the Legacy Crossing area that includes a lot of the retail market assessment information that we originally anticipated that we would need for this project, so they were able to utilize that and reduce the cost on the feasibility phase from the $13,720 down to $10,140, and that brings the overall project cost down to $49,725, which is within the available budget for the project. So with that, staff would recommend selection of the Bernardo Wills and Welch Comer and approval of the professional services agreement. And I'd be happy to try to answer any questions you might have.
I don't have any.
No questions, but I think proceeding to look at the A Street connector is really important for the future of the town, especially out on the west side, and get that linked up. I think it's a good step forward. Got to work with good data, so here's a chance to get some.
Bill, in the packet, we've got a aerial map of what's called the project study area,
Correct.
which was in the RFP, looking for the engineer for this work.
Correct.
Will the deliverable that we get from this encompass that entire area?
That's correct. The northern boundary might fall in a little bit of flux. That was a boundary that we drew when we were developing the RFP, not knowing exactly where that roadway alignment was going to sit and where a reasonably sized lot to accommodate the anticipated users would sit on that north edge. So I would expect that north boundary could flex a little bit depending upon the ultimate layout. The other boundaries and extents will remain consistent.
And this delineated area has apparently been agreed to by the university as developable?
Correct.
Okay. Nothing else?
I'd be looking for a new place for a dairy.
I think go right on forward.
Well, if the dairy leaves, we'll narrow down the choices when we have a cold January day and, Roma at the mall. So or not, as the case may be. Okay,
Let's move forward.
consent
That works.
works?
All right, thanks.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you, Bill. Okay.